Rating.
Hi, how are you?
Not too bad.
Well, how are you?
Good, good. Can you hear me okay or no?
I can hear you.
You're
fine.
good. You're good.
Good. All right, thanks for having me on. I'm really excited. So I guess I want to start by sharing my story a little bit. It's similar to yours, Matt. And what's your co-host's name?
Oh, I'm Phil.
Bill. Hey, Phil. I'm Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Dave's not here.
So basically, my story with faith, 9 years old, I saw my dad change. He cheated on my mom when I was 1, and he started to change in life, and he really started to put us first and stuff like that. So I'm like, wow, because I knew that he started going to church. I'm like, something's up with this. And so anyway, around 9 years old, I was at church. I looked up to the front. There was a woman who was like praising God. It seemed genuine. So my 9-year-old little boy mind said, hey, I'm going for this. My dad, I love him. And so that's sort of how that all began. And it was pretty unique. I don't understand much about it, but I actually fell on the ground and all that stuff that you might hear in some churches.
Sure.
Anyway, fast forward a little bit. I just sort of, when I was 12 or 13, I had an experience where I just prayed, God, help me understand this Bible because I don't get it. And I started to understand it. And then after that, I read a word about encouragement. Anytime I'd see the word encouragement, I'd be like, oh, I think that might be my spiritual gift. Anyway, fast forward 17 years old, I get very sick. And I ended up going to the children's hospital with basically an encephalopathy, some type of issue with my brain. And it was very confusing. And during that time, so much of what I thought was true, a couple months later when I got better, wasn't even true. Like I was sort of like a psychosis, but actually neurological issues. And so I turned 18 all in that area, that time. I was like, well, how do I know if my belief in Jesus is true if all this other stuff seemed true and isn't? It really threw me off for years. And so from 18 to 31, I studied, all these different things. And over, I found that the Christian faith very easily knocked down the other beliefs. But then after all that searching, this one thing popped in my head, which is, I can't remember what it was. Shoot. Anyway, it was so critical that I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, so basically, I'm very convinced I believe that Jesus' story is very accurate, but even if, we say that is and all this stuff, we really can't determine that, this. Anyway, I realized that based on logic, I can't prove that there's a God.
And I don't want to get hung up on the word prove, but basically, are you saying that the evidence can't justify belief?
Yes, exactly.
Then why would anybody believe something while they simultaneously acknowledge that there's insufficient evidence to justify belief?
Oh, well, there isn't there's sufficient evidence to justify believing that it's probably true or might be true, and then you have up there, but there's not sufficient evidence to actually know intellectually, and I don't believe there is. Let me just finish a couple things. So anyway, after I determined that logic can't win out because there's I can't believe I forgot it. I'm sorry. There was a logic block, and I'm like, oh, no, I can't. So I went through this crisis. I'm like, I was like, oh, finally I'm going to have a good Easter where I'm not doubting. But then this thing come up, and I can't remember what it is. But anyway, I go to church anyway, because what am I going to do? It's Easter.
Sleep.
And wasn't quite ready to do that yet. So anyway, I went to Easter, and I'm like, oh, geez, bunch of I don't know if it's true or not. I just couldn't be in the moment. When I'm driving out, there's this song from Need to Breathe, great band, and it talks about basically just focusing on Jesus, because based on logic, I believe that the historicity of Jesus was still pretty solid on my mind. So I'm like, I'm going to forget about God, whether he might be an alien, it might be not the God that's all-powerful like I believe in, because I remember now, how could God create something out of nothing? And so that's sort of where I was. I was very devastated, but I just focused on Jesus. And wow, it was amazing.
That's called self-deception. That's called self-deception. When you set aside logic, because when you got to the point where, oh, this is beyond logic or logic can't address this, the only way for you to reach that conclusion is to use logic. And so you've already put yourself in a contradictory position where you are using logic to conclude that logic isn't sufficient. And yet when it comes to outside of a reasoned argument supported by evidence, how could I possibly believe this? If you go down the road of just focus on Jesus, that is active self-deception. It is, I'm going to set aside logical reasoning and I'm just going to focus on this. And it's common, and I mean, I'm sure we all do it about something. It's actually what Blaise Pascal was arguing for with Pascal's wager, which is he agreed with me, or I guess I should say I agree with him since he's dead, that belief isn't subject to choice, like you don't choose what you believe. But what Blaise said was that if you find that you cannot believe and you do not believe, then you should act as if you believe in the hopes that someday you will. That is active self-deception. And what he's basically saying is, turn your eyes upon Jesus, set aside these rational foundations, keep living as if you believe, and eventually you will believe. That is the very definition of self-deception.
And even using the historicity of Jesus, because when Tracy and I were last on, that subject also came up.
Yeah.
And even though currently right now that's where many historians in the field, that's where they lay at this point in time, even though there are some arguments for and against, blah, blah, blah. But even so, that doesn't, that's only talking about the individual. That has nothing to do with anything divine or anything beyond an individual like, you and I sitting here.
I could grant you that Jesus absolutely existed, and that still doesn't get us anywhere near whether or not we have an accurate record of what he said or did. And even if we granted that we had a pretty good, accurate record of what he said, that doesn't mean that we have good reason to believe that he performed miracles or that he was divine or that he rose from the dead or any of those things. So it's kind of an irrelevant point, much in the way when you talked about the change in your dad, he was starting to go to church. Well, that doesn't mean that there was a God that changed your dad. And in fact, we already have a good understanding that if people are part of a community and that community advocates for particular social mores, that the people are more likely to do that. Changes can come from going to church, irrespective of whether or not there's a God or the foundational theology is true. Just like changes can come from coming down to the atheist community of Austin and interacting with people. You are now part of a group, and that comes with responsibilities. And if you want to be successfully part of that group, your behavior must conform. It has nothing to do with...
Can I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
Okay. So first of all, you've only said that your possibility is a possibility. My view is just as equally valid.
No. First of all, I didn't say anything about possibility being a possibility, but just because...
The possibility that God worked in my dad's life, just as it's a
I did not say that was possible. I did not say that was possible. I definitely did not say that was possible, because possibility must be demonstrated. I am not convinced that a God worked something in your life. I can't prove that it didn't happen, but that does not mean it's possible, nor am I saying it's possible. You have to demonstrate that it's possible.
Okay, so I'm going to continue on.
Because that's a good response to a rebuttal, is just to continue on.
No, because I have a lot to say. First of all, you said that belief leads to belief, in the sense of that what Pascal said, I'll believe, and someday I'll believe.
No, what I said was that Pascal suggests you should act as if you believe in the hopes that someday you do believe. Pretend to believe can lead to belief, not belief leads to belief.
No, but pretending to believe. What is pretending to believe?
That means you act as if you believe it.
No, believing is the act of having faith, is it not?
No, belief is the position of being convinced that a proposition is likely true. But you can act as if you believe, even if you don't believe.
Absolutely, and that's called faith. And actually, the word believe can be viewed in a different view, but that's semantics. You're right. So I'll read a verse, and I know it doesn't matter to you, but
Of course it doesn't matter.
Sure.
Should I quote
We have to-
Lord of the Rings when you're done?
Let's say it needs to demonstrate that it
Okay.
does matter first
Let's
before.
do this.
But
Why do you think that the Bible is not true? You mentioned once unjust laws.
So where did you get the idea that I think the Bible is not true?
Because you just said that, well, you may have not said that it's not true. But
Exactly. I may not have said that because certainly there are some things in there that I'm convinced are true. There are other things that I am not convinced are true. And there are things that I'm convinced are not true. It's 66 books written by a bunch of different authors, depending on which version of the Bible you want to go with. It would be ridiculous for somebody to just say the Bible's not true. They would have to give additional context in what they're actually saying. So I am not convinced that anything supernatural is real. And so the Bible's supernatural claims are immediately in the not proven category.
Okay. So, but why does not proven? Okay. First of all, I'm confident, and I don't really care. But you mentioned. So first of all, the Bible says very
Hang
clearly
on.
that
You say you're confident and you don't really care. I'd like for you to finish that thought. You don't care?
I really don't. I guess I believe logic is what's given is enough to be a signpost to look for yourself about Jesus Christ. And
I think you're avoiding my question.
What's your question?
You said that you don't care, and I want to know about what and why.
Because I'm living by faith. That's more than enough
Okay.
for me.
okay.
Do you think that faith is a good way to reach accurate models of reality?
Actually, yes, based on Scripture, and I found it to be true. It's the
Whoa.
one
You don't just get to assume based on Scripture. Can you reach false conclusions based on faith?
Here's the deal.
That's a yes or no?
Yes.
All this, I'm answering the question.
I bet you're not, but go ahead.
Hypothetically, I don't answer the question straight up. It's answered through a line of maybe not the way most people do it.
Yeah. And that's why I'm going to ask again. Can you reach false positions based on faith?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But-
Now let me ask a follow-up. Can you reach true positions based on faith?
Absolutely.
Cool. Now, let's say I've reached a position based on faith. How do I demonstrate whether or not it's true or false?
Demonstrate to another person, you don't. You
Oh,
don't have
no.
to.
That's okay. So there are things. Oh boy.
No, can I say something?
No. No.
Okay.
You can reach true positions and false positions based on faith. If somebody's reached a position and they say that it's based on faith, how can one tell whether or not they've reached a true position?
How could one, as in someone other than me?
Yes, one in the universe, one, anyone tell. Phil here has reached two positions based on faith. One of them, well, actually, we'll just go with Phil has reached a position based on faith. How do I tell whether or not it's true? And how does Phil tell whether or not it's true if it's based on faith?
It's just like any scientific principle of
The fuck it is.
Really?
Thank you.
It is. You just acknowledged that faith can lead you to true positions and false positions, and I'm asking, how do you tell the difference if it's based on faith? Because that is an admission that faith is an unreliable methodology for reaching the truth. You have to have some way. You have to have some way beyond faith to show that your position is true or not. That is nothing at all like science.
And if that's the case, why don't you just use that method in the
There is.
first place to determine that it's true versus justifying it with faith?
Exactly.
Say that again.
I said, if that is the case, if you were, as you were just about to say that, it's started with the scientific type of method. If that's the case, if that's how you tell, if I, make a claim that's based on faith that X is true, but you have to use a scientific method to determine whether it is true, why not start there in the first place, rather than saying that it's based on faith at all?
Yeah, faith is the excuse people give when they don't have a good reason. Because if you ask them why they believe something and they have a good reason, they give the good reason.
Right.
I have an excellent reason.
Okay.
The Bible gives a hypothesis of how to know if God is true. Do you know what it is?
I know many assertions about this. There are views in which if you reach out to God, then God will reveal himself to you. Is that what you're getting at? Or is it more about you shall know them by their works?
No, I'll read the verse, even though I know it's
irrelevant.
I know what the Christian view is, and you already know you.
Exactly. And you know what else I know? I know that we were having this conversation, and you claim that you have good reason to believe something based on faith. And what is your good reason based on?
I have good reason to believe in something based on faith.
You did. You said it was the Bible, which is why you're going to the Bible.
Excuse me. I was talking.
I don't give a rat's ass if you were talking. You're done talking.